Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hi, Louise. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks very much for inviting me, Sue.
Yeah.
Delighted to be here. Delighted to chat with
Yeah,
you.
there's nothing like sitting on your couch like you are and having a cup and a chat, hey?
I
Especially
have
when
no
it's about
time here.
mindfulness. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah, absolutely.
obligatory. It's obligatory when you're having a chat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Thanks for taking time out of your Saturday.
Okay, no problem at all. No, I'm delighted to chat with you.
Good, because I came across your work when I moved back to Ireland about a year and a half ago, and
Okay,
I
right.
really, yeah, and I really loved everything that you're doing, and to find people in Ireland who are doing similar work in a different way, and that you feel like, gosh, I
Yeah.
really want to connect with these people because they will totally understand what you're about and what you're doing. So I'm
Yes.
really delighted that I just don't have to stalk you now all the time. I can actually get to talk to you in person.
Oh.
So I see. Tell me more about your work. Do you live in Athlone then?
Yeah, so I'm from Athlone and I live in Athlone. And then I would do work then around the country then as well. So like I would travel a bit as well, although I'm traveling a bit less than I have been in recent times.
Okay, yeah.
But I would have gone around to a lot of schools and a lot of libraries and done a lot of that the last good few years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, because I saw a few posts where you were at the libraries.
Yeah. Yeah, I visited a lot of libraries around the country.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Mm.
lovely to have that one-on-one involvement and connection with people.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, I met so many children through, over the last few years, going around been to so many schools and
Yeah,
worked with so many kids. So, yeah, it's been great. It's been really wonderful. Yeah,
yeah. And
I'm very grateful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly, did you go? Was it giving talks at the primary schools, or did you get the opportunity to do workshops, or
Oh,
how did?
mainly workshops, mainly workshops. So I've been doing that now about 7 years. So just basically teaching meditation and mindfulness to children. And then when I go to schools, it's nearly always working directly with the children in the classes. So that's what I would have been mainly doing. And then the libraries, I would have been, yeah, mainly working directly with groups of children. Although just in the last few years, then I've got more into training other people to do that. But
Yeah.
that's what I have been doing all these years. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and congratulations on your course. You've got an amazing course for teachers. It looks,
Yes.
that's the thing, you can only do so much yourself, so that way you're
Yeah.
empowering others, to help more people, really.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's really what happened. Just that I've been doing the work and people have been asking how could they get into doing it, and there wasn't much training available in Ireland in that area. And I suppose I have a specific way of working with kids, and that is very creative. So I call it creative mindfulness. So
Yeah,
then I just started with a 1 day training, and then people were asking for more, and then I did a second day, and then they were saying could this be a qualification? So I looked into doing that. So it just happened very organically, and really just people were seeing the work and were interested, and I was just really delighted to be able to share, I suppose, and that people were interested because it's something I'm so passionate about and I feel is really so needed. So it's wonderful to see all these other people now who've done the course up and doing their classes all around the country. So it's really exciting and wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
very rewarding. Where did it all start for you then? I always like to know.
Okay, yeah. So with I suppose I studied psychology in college, so I would have had the interest anyway, I suppose, in the mind and then I did research and then I did my master's. But it was actually after all of that then that I got into meditation, and that was about over 10 years ago now, when I was in my first job in Dublin, and I was working with teenagers who had a lot of difficulties, and I found it quite stressful. And at the time I would have been finding it hard to sleep and suffering from some anxiety myself as well. And so I came across the meditation center in Dublin, and I just started meditating then. And yeah, it just had a huge impact on me. And straight away, it was just something I really connected to. And then it just helped me so much, and helped me so much personally. So it started very much as a personal interest and something that just really helped me, and then something that I had a lot of passion about developing within my own self, because I could see the difference it made to me, and also the difference it was having on in my life and in my relationships and in my work. And really from that, then I felt that this is something that children should know how to do, or children should be taught to do, I felt. Because for me, I probably felt that I suppose probably is a very similar story to a lot of people who teach mindfulness to children and young people. We just feel like, oh, we wish we knew this when we were younger, you know.
Yeah.
And then I also felt that, not just that, but I felt that you know, giving children this skill could have more wide-reaching benefits for society and for the world in general. Because when we look at things, you know, a lot of, you know, our suffering, or a lot of the difficulties that happen in our lives, or maybe the ways that we might treat each other that might not be so kind, are coming from internal suffering, you know, and confusion, and not just knowing how to manage the internal world. So I just really felt, with, you know, if we did teach children mindfulness and how to love themselves and the importance of kindness to others, that it's something, I'm not saying it's going to solve all the world's problems, but it's something that could make a difference to society, to their individual lives, but also to the bigger issues that we see. And I still really feel very strongly about that, and that's really what drives me, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
I'm a
I guess,
very,
yeah.
very similar passion, very similar idea of how it can
Okay.
transform society.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. So that's really my story. And then, yeah, just continuing to develop my own practice over the years. And then about 5 years ago, I suppose, or more than that now, I really found self-compassion practices, and that really changed my practice. And I really believe in self-compassion practices, and you know, practicing them hand in hand with awareness practices. So that kind of was another turning point for me as well in my own practice, and something then that I bring in a lot to the groups that I teach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Did you find in the schools there was quite an overlap, or rather that it complements the SPHE curriculum?
With mindfulness, is it?
Yes, yeah,
There's a bit, but I think with the SPHE curriculum, I suppose it's only really meant, like, the recommended amount is half an hour a week, isn't it? You know, which
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
really enough.
yeah,
And I suppose how I would be training teachers to bring mindfulness into their classroom would be that they do a bit throughout the day, every day, you
yes,
know.
yeah,
And it is certainly linked, you know, and linked to the SPHE curriculum, and it certainly complements it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for me, I think it should be more something that's more ingrained into everyday
definitely.
everyday school day, not just something we do a little, you know, half an hour a week, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I agree with the training the teachers as
Yeah,
well, that they can bring in, so they've got the whole organization on the same path and using small techniques daily. I know, I
yeah,
agree, I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
yeah.
And where did your creative, have you always been creative? Because that's such a lovely way to bring it in, especially with younger children. Teach.
Yeah, yeah. Look, so that would be like my particular style of teaching mindfulness, and then
Mm,
I would have always been very creative, you know, as a child, like very, very creative, and even thought about maybe going to art college and all those things. And so it's been lovely actually to bring my, I suppose, two loves together, between kind of, you know, mindfulness and meditation and creativity, and kind of combine them. I also trained as a play therapist, so there's a
yes.
lot of kind of creativity there as well. And then it's just something I found really works in terms of teaching children about their minds and about mindfulness, because it's something they can connect to. It's also something they can experience. So rather than just talking, and it's on a
Yeah.
very kind of intellectual, kind of
Yeah.
conceptual level, actually to get them down and experience something hands-on.
Mm.
And then they have something which they can actually physically interact with and bring home. So I would encourage families and schools to have their little mindfulness corner, or for children to have their little calm corner with all of their tools. And even in terms of my therapy that I do in terms of one-on-one work, I find it really good in terms of engaging families with what I'm doing, rather than just coming for an hour and then that's it for the whole week. To actually, give a, for example, the mind jar, and then, mum or whoever's at home, dad, brothers and sisters, they all interact with it. And it's a way of normalizing mindfulness and looking after our mental health, and
Mm.
um, giving children a physical tool. And I find that particularly with children, it just helps them connect a lot more to it, and it helps them enjoy it as well, because they enjoy the process of making something, and it's something personal to them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And I see you have your new deck of cards and your books. Do you want to tell me a bit your books? So you've got three, a set of three, is that correct?
I do. So they were the Mindfully Me series, and they're illustrated by Rose Finnerty. So they were launched about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then so they're basically three different books: one on awareness practices, one on mindfulness of emotions, and one on kind of self-kindness and self-compassion. And then there's cards to go with them. So I have like kind of like affirmation cards, but bring in a little bit of self-compassion and self-soothing touch, and feelings cards. And then also, and then at the calm cards for teens, which are geared towards teenagers. But I
Mm.
have three more books now, and they're called the Kindly Me series. And
Oh,
so they're illustrated by Una Woods, and we're just in the process of signing a publishing contract for that. So they
great.
should be out soon. So that's exciting as well.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah,
Is that also for younger children?
they
The
would
range?
be for 4 to 8,
Yeah. Yeah.
4 to 8
Yeah.
years. Yeah, and they're focused on. There's three different books in the new series. The first one is on metta, loving kindness.
Yeah.
Um, teaching children about the loving kindness practices. The second one is on self-kindness and kindness for others, and the third one is on gratitude. So I'm really excited to get them out in the world. We've about a year and a half we've been working on them, so we're just
Great.
in the process of signing the contract at the moment. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well done. It would be lovely. James and I are doing teacher training. We've decided to do it in the
Yeah.
summer. So it would be lovely to have some of your books there. Uh,
Okay.
so maybe
Great.
we can chat about
Yeah.
that again, and your cards. But I'll talk to you about that. And yeah,
Yeah.
because, it's nice to have, the tools and techniques there. And,
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
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 What else do I want to ask you? Um, for anxiety,
Yeah.
and so you deal mostly, well, you also deal with teens. So for younger children, and then in your experience for older and adults would be similar. What would your top ways of coping with anxiety and stress mindfully? What's your
Okay.
in your experience, what's your top go-to methods to manage?
Okay, I think like something that works really well, whether it is for like a little child or even for an adult, is this idea of almost like befriending our anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's something that I've had to deal with a lot in my own life,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that bringing awareness to it, but also this sense of making friends with it, I think is a huge thing. And what I get little kids to do is give it a name. So say it's
Mm-hmm.
worried, so say it's worried Wendy, So
Yeah.
worried Wendy is here to visit, And then on the back, like I get them maybe to draw worried Wendy, and then on the back, say I get them to write what can they do when worried Wendy comes to visit, So
Mm-hmm.
I can take 3 breaths, And sometimes, particularly for maybe anxiety, sometimes, you know, take a shorter in breath and a longer out breath can be good. So maybe something like that. I can put my hands on my heart. I can say, you know, it's okay to feel like this way. This way, everything belongs. That's another key message that I'd always teach as well. That whatever we're feeling, it is okay. It belongs. Maybe what's happening in our life might not be okay, but the feeling is okay. I think the biggest thing with anxiety or any difficult emotion is when we turn on ourselves for having that feeling. This is what creates the biggest suffering, whether it's for a child or for an adult. So this idea of befriending ourselves and befriending the feeling even, and almost this sense of like holding the feeling in our hands. So I say, I go through like 4 steps with kids. The first one is take 3 breaths. The second one is, who is visiting me now? So what feeling is visiting, and how does that feel in my body? So what are the felt bodily sensations? The third step then is be kind. So be kind to myself and be kind to the feeling. And kindness can come with maybe putting my hand on my heart, and saying kind words to myself. How can I be kind to the feeling? So noticing where in the body is the feeling. So maybe anxiety, maybe it's in the tummy, putting my hand on my tummy, even saying kind words to my feeling. It's okay that you're here. I'm your friend. I look after you. And then the fourth step then is expression. So talking about it, you know, telling someone. And when I say to kids is to get their hand, and on the other hand, think of 5 different people they can tell. So, you know, with the thumb, maybe someone at home, the next finger someone in school, the next finger maybe someone in my family, the next finger a friend, and the next finger someone else. And then I'd have other creative activities to help children express with those 4 steps. But actually they work just as well for kids as they do for adults or teens. And I do think for me anyway, just this just has come from my own experience, is this sense of befriending. How can I be kind to myself, be kind to the feeling, and actually take it along with me? Okay, so worried water is here, but that doesn't have to stop me from doing what I want to. I can take worried water with me, so I can maybe, you know, for example, for me personally, sometimes I get a bit anxious when I have to talk in front of a lot of people. I think it's funny because I end up doing this a lot in my work. So, you know, if I was to listen to Worried Walter all the time, I wouldn't do anything. They can just say, okay, well, Worried Walter is here and that's okay. It's okay to be a bit anxious. I can still present, or I can still, if it's a child, I can still go to this party. So I find that those tools are, yeah, there's lots more, but.
Yeah. No, that's very useful, because I know also from experience, the more you try and make something stop, it grows.
Yeah.
So that clearly doesn't work. You know, we've tried that. So yeah, the befriending in a non-judgmental way, and you know, you can show Worry Walter that it's okay. We can do it together. Show him that it. So I like that. That's really good.
Yes, something I found helpful, and I find that children connect to that, and I find that it does help them. And then another thing that can be helpful for children or adults, I find, is just having like a little stone in their pocket, like a little worry stone, and just put it in their pocket, and then they can hold on to the stone and take a breath, you know, with the stone in their hand, and it's quite grounding, you know. So having something outside the self, because sometimes when anxiety is present, the body can be quite activated. So having something outside of the self can be quite grounding, just to hold on to the stone and just breathe with the stone. And lots of other things you can do as well, but they're just a few things that I find quite good.
Oh, that's really good. And do you find through your profession, now my mind is just racing with ideas to ask, is do you find with neuroplasticity then, when this is practiced often enough, you really can overcome that anxiety response? Do you feel do you feel in your experience with enough practice that one can significantly change those neural pathways to respond more positively?
I definitely think, I suppose what we practice grows stronger. So like whatever we're doing, we're whatever we're doing, our brain is wiring up in response to that. So I certainly think we can do that. But I think sometimes, you know, adults and children can have an anxious disposition, and I think it's not good to try and get rid of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's almost
yeah,
like, okay, it's here, and okay, it might be gone for a while, and maybe it'll come back. Maybe something will trigger it again, and
sure.
that's okay. But so like but I have these skills and these tools within me, and I think they certainly, you know, the plasticity can work that way. And I do think that with time, and well, we know, like the research tells us that, you
Yeah,
know, that we can train our brains to respond differently to stress. But I
yeah,
do think it's good not to have this attitude, oh, I want to get rid of it, or I want to get rid of my anxiety, because what we want to do really is befriend the full self and bring this kind, compassionate awareness to all of who we are and all of what we experience. And I find that that helps, you know, having that attitude works best, I find. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No, that's really good. Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you've been involved with what's the word? With the summit recently.
Oh yeah, the
I,
preschool.
yes,
Yeah, yes.
yeah. That must have been
Yeah.
a great experience, and I'm sure you connected with some great, inspiring people.
Yeah, I really did. And I was very honoured to be asked to be part of the summit. So that
Wonderful.
was great. Yeah, and I was delighted to share, like, I suppose what I was talking about was more the creative ideas. So
Yeah.
they do, and this summit was for in particular preschool children. So I found that, you know, it was nice to be able to share the creative ideas. And I was a bit nervous. You know, there was lots of people that I really admire as part of it. But you know, again, I was, you know, I said, oh, it's okay. The nervous Nelly is here. That's okay.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, I was delighted and very honoured to be included in it. So it was
That's really
great.
great.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well
yeah.
done. Well done. It's awesome. And yeah, tell me of your plans going forward then. You've got a lot on the go. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so you work in your psychology practice anyway, and then you have your teacher training and you're an author.
yeah. So we also have a curriculum. So the Mindful Heart curriculum for primary schools, and it's a full curriculum written by myself and Paul McNamee. And we've been working on it for about 5 years. So we're also at the moment just in talks, and we're ready to sign the contract for that as well. So we're really excited about that, and so hopefully it'll get out into schools, and
Great.
we're, yeah. So that's a big project I live on, and I suppose there'll be training in that. So, and then, yeah, I suppose bringing out new books as well. And you know, I'm very creative, so I love making like new, like, little resources and CDs, and I collaborate with my partner. Thomas does a lot of the art, and my brothers help me with some of the music, and so it's nice. I love the kind of the creative side of it, and
Yeah.
just creating useful, helpful resources. And then I suppose just I will continue, you know, with the training, the creative mindfulness kids practitioner training, and I try and do, you know, a few of them a year, so about 3 of them a year, and that's really training people to go out and teach. And then I'll be bringing that to the UK during the summer, and also to America. So so I'm excited about that as well. So I'll be going to Manchester in July, and then Santa Barbara in California in August to do the training. So yeah,
Really lovely. Oh,
yeah,
it's so great that you can spread it then, you know? You
yeah. No, it's been great to get like the opportunities as well, and yeah, so it's great. It's like, yeah, I'm really grateful to be able to do this work, and it's wonderful to see it spreading and see people interested and doing the work with the kids, which is the main thing really.
it
And so
is.
that's really, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when people see the benefits and feel and experience the benefits for themselves, they, you know, it's transformative, and to be able to share it and empower others is what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. You do see that all the time, that people say, oh, well, transformed my life, and it's made such a difference. So it's very you know, it's very rewarding. You have to without a doubt. But you know, it's a journey as well, and I'm constantly working on my own practice, and I feel like that really underlies everything that I do. Just coming back to my own practice, because really, I really believe that you can't really bring anybody further than you've gone yourself. So I'm constantly kind of working and trying to deepen that, and it's a journey, you know, but yeah, it's a great journey to be on, and I'm grateful if it's been of any benefit to people, and it is great to see the classes and spreading around the country, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, and soon the world, so that's really great. Soon the whole world.
Yeah, but no, it is great. Yeah, it's great to be able to go to different countries with it as well.
Fabulous. So are you collaborating with someone in Santa Barbara, or are you doing
I am
training?
a lady called Sarah McLean, who I teach with. She has her own meditation academy, and I've been kind of teaching with her for the last few years. I do some online work for her students, so I'll be collaborating with her. But the UK, I'll just be doing my own training over there myself.
Okay. Oh, great. Good. Well done to you. Yeah. And anything else you want to share about your work, or where can people access your books, your resources, your future training?
Okay, yeah, so I have a website, www.louiseshanagher.com, and I try and make the website as I suppose helpful for people, and kind of a good set of free resources on it. So there is workbook pages that you can print for free, and download as much as you like. There's meditations, lesson plans, some craft ideas as well. So yeah, you know, if people are interested, they could go and have a look. And then if you were interested in the training, you'll see there's training on my website. So you just click into training. I also have like a year-long online course that I teach with Life Practice Academy in the UK. So, and that's something if you want to be an adult, or actually that course covers teenagers, children, all age groups. So, but it's more of a bigger course. So there's two courses there. There's the face-to-face kids course, and the teacher training as well. So,
that's great. You've been a busy lady.
I'm very busy. Yeah, I've actually cut down a lot since Christmas. I've been doing a lot less, trying to look after my own self-care, because it can get busy, and it's just about, you know, taking time to, you know, to have, not to get caught up in that either. Even so, it's so exciting when you're so passionate about it. So at the moment now, I'm kind of a little bit quieter, which is great. But
time to practice yourself and reflect.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. There's plenty of things going on all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's really positive. You know, I've never come across so many people who do this work since coming back to Ireland. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really taken off. And I know I started, like, I'd have the kids classes, and I'd literally for a long time would have maybe one or two kids coming. We really, you know, it was a very small class for years, and you know, it's the last few years it's just taken off, which is brilliant. It's a great step in the right direction. Like, there's still a good bit of work to go, but things are definitely moving in the right direction. And I think, you know, it you know, you can do a little bit by yourself, but when you have a group of people, that's where you can see real change. And I think what's happening is people are maybe coming together, and it's being normalized, and people see that there's a need for it. And I think that's where we're actually going to see the real change happen. So it's exciting, and things are definitely moving in the right direction.
They are moving, they are moving in the right direction. Once it's part of the curriculum in school, it's life skills. As you say, we weren't taught all of this, and then it would be hugely transformative, and for children going forward, you know. So that's my greatest dream, to see it implemented daily at home and in school. So
absolutely, that's where it needs to go, rather than just being something they do once a week. It needs to be seen as, because mindfulness and compassion is for every moment. Like, every moment we're alive is an opportunity to practice, every moment. So I really try and get that across, some people think, oh, something, maybe I will do once a week or every now and again.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
see, and for the plasticity to work, we need to be doing it. And that's when we really see the changes in the brain, when it does become a way of being.
A way of being. Yeah, yeah. Not just a practice once a week or,
Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah.
And it would be lovely to see it as part of teacher training. Do you know in teacher training, is it part of teacher training currently in Ireland? Do you know?
I've been talking to some teachers who say they've done maybe one day on it, or two lectures on it, but I think it needs to be certainly more than that, and I think, it can't put a lot of pressure on teachers to say, oh, well, look, you have to do all this and you have to do this as well, and I think it's really important for teachers not just to kind of have maybe the resources, but for them to realize that really to teach mindfulness well, that they need to have a practice themselves, because that's where they're going to be teaching by just being, just their presence will be teaching mindfulness if they've ingrained a personal practice in their life, and also it'll change their experience of teaching. So I do think that needs to happen. It's not enough just to have one or two lectures on it. I think teachers should be taught how to develop a personal mindfulness and compassion practice, definitely, without a doubt. So I've seen from the teachers that I work with, they say that by bringing mindfulness into their lives, it's totally changed their experience of teaching and even the atmosphere of the classroom. So I think there's definitely, it does need to be, changed on that level, I think, rather than kind of adding extra things for teachers to do, which is hard for them because they've enough to do already.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But yeah, if it could be part of teacher training, maybe we need to look at that in Ireland.
I definitely think that.
Let's pick it outside the government buildings.
Yeah, well, that's it. But the great thing about it is that there's so much research, I suppose. So that's the great thing about mindfulness, and especially now with self-compassion practices, there's loads of research there. So that gives, we have to kind of stand and take heed of that as well. And I think that's going to help in terms of making changes on kind of a more, on a bigger level, I suppose, when it comes to teacher training and the curriculum and all of these things. So that's on our side, I suppose.
Yes, it's all time, and we'll keep trying for it. And the more look, it would make teachers more fulfilled and happier and able to cope better with their stressful job. And when they can see that, then I think if it also comes from the teachers saying yes, this is a must, it benefits the students and the teachers, then hopefully in the next few years we'll see that change happen on the ground.
Hopefully. And there is a big, I think what I find with teachers is that they really are interested, and they really do see the need for their own self-care, and they're very responsive, and they're great. Like they do so much. So I do think the interest is there, But I guess the change needs to happen on I suppose on that bigger level in terms of teacher training, and maybe in terms of what teachers are expected to do. So maybe less of something and more time with mindfulness and SPHE. I think that's one of the changes that needs to happen, rather than adding it in on top of everything else.
Yes,
prioritizing it more in school and prioritizing it more for teachers.
Which is great. So hopefully we can all do our bit to help.
That's it. And I suppose really that's all you can do, and you just do your bit and hope, and and I think it's the change happens when everybody does their bit, and we're not, one person is not going to change everything, but in time, with lots of people involved and lots of people out doing their little bit, things gradually start to change. And to know that that we all can make an individual difference, even if that's just in our own homes, or with our own children, or the children that we're in contact with. Because sometimes people have a sense of hopelessness, like, oh, things aren't going to change, and it's all wrong. But it's just good to know that we can start with the people who are in our homes. We can start with our own children, with our nieces and nephews, with the people that we're in contact with. To start, we all have that power within our own lives, and it can really change the people's lives around us when we do start to relate to ourselves and others with this. I always think of it like the two wings, with this awareness and wisdom and kindness and compassion, and bring those two things together, and it just ripples out into the world, and that's how the changes start to happen. But I think it needs to be a joint effort, and it's great to see people like you. And James is your teaching partner, is that right?
Yes, James.
Yeah,
He's from.
yeah.
So we
Okay, yeah.
found each other soon after I came back here. I was
Okay,
trying to fish out
yeah,
people who were in a similar, interested in the same things. And
yes,
yeah, so we
yeah,
got together and we just clicked. And he had the primary school curriculum, I had the secondary school, and so it just worked so well.
great,
Yeah,
yeah,
our first retreat coming up later in the year, and
great.
just trying to do, as I said, do our bit. And
Yeah, that's it.
by working
Yeah,
together, you have more to offer,
it's
by
true. Yeah,
collaborating and just going where we're brought and trying to make a difference.
yes, great, wonderful. That's really
That's why it's
wonderful.
so nice to chat with you. And
Yes,
know,
yeah.
well, like especially in Ireland, I'll be talking to a few more people. And
Okay,
yeah, so just about
great.
joining forces and supporting each other globally
Yes,
and nationally. And
absolutely.
that's how we can
Yeah.
hopefully see real difference. And knowing that we can all call on each other, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's something I try and put across when I do my trainings a lot, to
Mm.
really support each other. Because the more kind of we normalize it, the more work there is for everybody as well. Because sometimes people might feel like when they're starting their mindfulness class that, oh, it's my mindfulness class, but what I try and do is try and really get the people who've done the trainings to really support one another, and support one another in their personal practice as well, and to create a community around this our practice, and around supporting children and young people in introducing mindfulness to them. And it really is so important. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
agree. I agree. There's by working together and supporting every
yeah,
everybody moves forward quicker
yes,
and is
yeah,
it's so much more positive. Yeah.
yes, I agree. I really agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh, well,
great.
Louise, I
Yeah.
wish you the very best going forward. I don't want to
Okay.
take up any more
Okay.
of your rainy
Okay.
today. We've had
Okay.
enough rain to do. I promise you, it could cover
Yeah.
Australia and Africa. The amount of
Yeah.
rain we've had here. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's stopped.
Yeah. No, it hasn't been great now here either. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, looking forward to spring.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, look, let's chat again and keep in touch. And I will
Yeah.
I will post this and I will tag you. And I've been asked, as I said, to make a podcast because I know nobody has 50 minutes
Hey.
to sit, sadly, as much as they would love to sit and just listen.
Yeah.
So I'll make a podcast, and because
Hey.
there's been such helpful tips and
Yeah.
techniques and insights from people globally, and I just think that's so
Yeah.
cool. And then it's out there, so for people to listen and for us as a community to grow and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Yeah, it's all about that. And then there's another lady, I don't know if you've spoken to her, Alex Coster.
No.
If you get in touch with her, and she wrote a book called Roots and Wings.
Oh,
And
Christine
um,
Walker. Okay.
yeah, and she's doing great work. Well, she has lovely resources. She has the book Roots and Wings, which is a really lovely book for parents or teachers who are interested in mindfulness for kids, and mindfulness in their own homes, mindful parenting. And then she has lovely little cards as well. And I'd recommend that you get in contact with her as
Yes,
well.
I will,
Yeah,
Louise. Thank
yeah,
you.
and she's lovely.
Anybody who wants to share and
Yeah,
support
yeah.
each other, I'd love to talk to them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think if there's anybody else I'll think of, I'll let you know. But I definitely would recommend you talk to her, because we've met up now, and it's lovely that we can support each other, because she has books as well, and I really, really believe in that, in supporting each other. And
Yeah.
it does create the community, and it's important, because it can be hard as well sometimes to be doing all this work on your own and pushing forward all the time. So it makes a big difference to have support and people to talk to. you know, that are doing similar things.
Absolutely, that's what it's about. Because, as you say, you can be
Yeah.
like yourself. That's why I was so happy to find all of you, and that's how
Okay.
because you can feel like you're just on your own, as you say, trying to do what you can, and that's why I was so
Yeah.
to join with James and collaborate with him. Is
Yeah.
just to find people
Yeah.
who understand you and want the same thing, and by joining together, it's just been great. Yeah.
Yeah. It does. It makes a big
Oh,
difference.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's keep in touch, and I will.
Yeah,
I will.
that's great. Yeah, and let me know. I did share your inner happy on my page, but
I saw that.
that's
Thank you.
great. So that's mindfulness for anxiety course, is it that you're
Yeah,
doing?
it's a little
Okay.
course. We'll have another that's just for anxiety. Well,
Yeah.
it's just a short course to help people to manage, and it's everything that helped me. Uh,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, so it's
Okay.
just short and
Yeah.
to the point.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll have our 6-week online course coming out soon, hopefully in March.
Okay.
And
Okay.
just doing workshops like you in teacher training and planning more
Yeah.
retreats. And I hope to do
Okay.
more in the next few months around my own area. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
just more.
Okay.
So set up the online side and then have more
Yes.
on the ground, So you try and
Yeah.
have all areas where you think you can
Yeah.
help people.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are you in Dublin? Did you say?
No, I'm from Dublin, but I moved
Okay.
back to Galway, so I'm in Barna.
Oh,
That's
you're
like,
Varna.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So maybe if I'm there someday, I'll let you know and we could meet for a
yeah.
coffee or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm very near. It's not far away.
No, it's not
Yeah, it's
far.
only an hour. It's only an hour. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always, when my mum's in Dublin, so Athlone is
Okay.
always halfway. I feel like when I'm in Athlone,
Okay.
I'm halfway there. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Very
but
good.
you're very welcome. We'll have a catch up
Yeah. Okay.
if you ever
Okay.
come to
Great.
Barna. Oh,
Great.
lovely to chat to you, Louise, and
Yes, that's
really thank
grand. Yeah.
you for your work. And we'll stay in
Yeah.
touch.
Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So you have a lovely weekend.
Thanks. You too, Louise. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.